Have you ever said yes to something and instantly felt that pit in your stomach? Like, why did I agree to that? You're overwhelmed and your schedule's packed, and yet somehow you simply said yes to one more thing. Friend, I've been there. And today I'm sharing the one boundary I refused to set for years and the very thing that helped me build success, but also led me straight into burnout. And yes, the truth, you can have success, you can have balance, but not without this. So grab a notebook because this one might change how you run your business forever. Are you a Christian entrepreneur feeling overwhelmed and burned out, struggling to find balance in your business and life? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Bridget, a wife, an entrepreneur of over 23 years, a mindset coach, and a woman who loves the Lord. I help you move from burnout to balance through simple daily systems that bring peace back into your business and your life. If you're ready for some simple strategies, real life resets, and a little encouragement to help you feel hope again, take a deep breath, close a few of those tabs in your brain, and let's dive in together. Before we dive into today's episode, if you are here and you would love just a tool to kind of help you get started with some burnout to balance, make sure you grab my free guide in the show notes. It's just a few of my favorite things that I've pulled together in just one document, and I thought you might really enjoy that. It really helped just to kind of ground me and simplify some of my daily rhythms. So make sure you grab that before you leave the show today. I want to take you back to a season of my life where from the outside, everything looked successful. My business was growing, I was achieving, I was showing up. But behind the scenes, I was exhausted. And I was the girl working until I fell asleep with my laptop in my lap, waking up and doing it all over again. And here's what I didn't realize at that time, that my success was being built on a lack of boundaries. I said yes to everything. And honestly, this didn't start in my business. It started way before that. I remember being younger in church, and we were in a small church, and so there wasn't a lot of people to fill all the roles that we needed. And I felt like every time there was a need, we were asked, can you teach this? Can you help here? Can you step into this ministry? And we just kept saying yes to everything. Not because we really felt called to everything, but because there was a need. And I remember one day, one of my Sunday school teachers pulled me aside and said, I heard you say yes to that thing that they had asked me to do that day, but I don't know if you actually wanted to do that. And I said, no, but nobody else is going to step up. And I will never forget what she said next. She looked at me and said, what if that's not assigned to you? What if that's not yours to carry? What if God is actually working on someone else's heart to step into that role? And by you saying yes out of pressure, you're taking something that was never meant for you. And that moment has stayed with me because I realized I wasn't saying yes to something that was in my calling. I was saying yes from fear and pressure and people pleasing. And I carried that straight into my business, where I said yes to everything, really, every opportunity, every speaking engagement, every request, things that really maybe I didn't feel full joy in, but I felt that need to say yes. And if you remember from my original podcast, I talk about people pleasing and just that need to want everybody to be happy and do what everybody else wants me to do. And in turn, sometimes we're the ones that ends up not being happy because we're doing things that aren't really in our joy and what God has not called us to do. So I realized that every single thing is not assigned to me to say yes. And by doing that, it was costing me peace and time, because time away from one thing or with one thing is time away from another. And eventually my body was like, can't do it anymore. Because if you don't rest, your body will do it for you. And this is what I want you to hear today, that you can do it all, but you cannot do it all at once, and you cannot do it all for everyone. Balance doesn't come from doing more, it comes from choosing better. So let's talk about some ways that I learned to transition, and hopefully this will help you too. You have to decide that it's okay to set a boundary. So that's number one. Let's just decide that it's okay. There's even a great book, by the way. If you need some more help in areas of your life with boundaries, there's a great book by Dr. Henry Cloud. It's been around forever. And my pastor actually gave me this book many years ago when I was struggling in boundaries with personal relationships. And this book just covers lots of types of boundaries. So I just wanted to put that plug because that book was a really big blessing to me. And it's just called Boundaries. So it's really great. So you have to decide that it's okay to set a boundary, because if you believe boundaries are wrong, then you'll never keep them. And so many Christian women, I think, struggle here because we think I should always be available, or I should always help, or I should always say yes. My biggest disbelief was, it's God's work. How can it be wrong? But I want you to remember that even Jesus had boundaries. He stepped away to rest. He didn't say yes to every demand. And sometimes we think saying yes is the most loving thing that we can do. But what if saying yes is the wrong thing and it's actually disobedience? What if it's not yours? What if God didn't assign it to you? Because when we're saying yes to everything, we're not operating from calling, we're operating from availability, and those are not the same thing. And to be honest, I don't even know if availability is always even the right word, because for me, I wasn't even available sometimes, but I just was saying yes, and I thought then I'll just figure it out. So let's just start with this simple little truth here, okay? Saying no is not to what is not yours, is saying yes to what God did assign to you. And I want you to write this down. This was a very powerful statement for me. Just because there's a need doesn't mean it's your assignment. I want you to hear that. Just because there's a need doesn't mean it's your assignment. So let me tell you what I implemented. And you don't have to say yes immediately, because most of your yeses are emotional, not intentional. So let me tell you how I took that pressure off of myself. Because in those moments where I need to say yes or no, I do feel the pressure. I felt the urgency. I felt the obligation. And you sometimes respond from a place of just emotion and not thinking through it. So I want you to allow yourself to give yourself a pause in those moments. And I want you to think of some of these phrases. So when someone comes to you and asks you to do something that you know you're already tapped out, maxed out, and you don't feel God calling you to do it, if you're not sure yet, these are some phrases you can use. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Let me pray on that. I'll take that into consideration and get back to you. Or let me check my schedule and see what's possible. And sometimes it simply looks like, I'm so sorry, I can't commit to that right now. I think saying the word no to people was so hard for me. And I think the reason it was hard was because I didn't like hearing no in my own business. Like nobody loves no's. I think that's a whole nother podcast, but nobody loves no. And so I just remember thinking, gosh, I hate to tell people no and hurt their feelings. Again, people pleasing side of me. I want to make everybody happy. And so these statements really helped me. And now I've gotten better to the point where I can tell people, I just don't feel called to do this. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm very flattered, but I just don't feel committed to do this right now. You don't have to over-explain. You don't have to feel guilt. It's just clarity, and you're not leaving them hanging. I think sometimes that's bad too. Leaving somebody hanging when you're like, you know what? I don't need to leave them hanging. Like, I know this is not for me. I don't feel any joy in this at all. I don't feel like God's calling me to do this. So the third way that I really implemented this, and this is really something that I wanted to leave you with today, and every yes, you should go through this filter. And it should be, is this my best yes? Because every yes is a no to something else. Time is your most valuable resource, my friends. And when you say yes to things that don't align, you're stealing time from potentially your health, your family, your calling, your peace. And this is your ROIT, return on investment of time. So I want you to ask yourself, does this align with what God is calling me to build? Does this move me toward my goals? Or am I saying yes out of fear or pressure? Because I know you felt this as well. Saying yes and instantly regretting it. Oh my gosh. I have done that so many times. I knew saying yes. I immediately knew it wasn't my best yes. So my friends, I want you to sit in that filter of, is this my best yes? And before you decide that, if you're not sure, give yourself permission to use those statements to not get yourself in a situation, because then you're going to be miserable. Oh my goodness. I've done so many things where I was so miserable doing them. I was mad at myself because I knew I had put myself in that position, and it was not my best yes. It was not the best use of my time. And I believe as a Christian entrepreneur, when we're trying to align our values, we just have to remember that our number one job is to keep our priorities in balance. And it's sometimes really hard to do that. So you really don't need more time. You just need to make clear on what you're willing to do and what you're unwilling to do. And be willing to pause when those opportunities present themselves and decide, what boundaries should I set here? What boundaries should I set here? For my family, for my business, for my peace, and for what God wants me to do. So as we wrap up today, I just want to remind you that, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say yes. And it's okay to pause whenever you're unsure and really lean into the Lord and ask Him what He wants you to do. The time that He's given all of us on this earth truly is our greatest commodity, and I want to be a good steward of it, and I know you do as well. And so I hope just thinking about what is my best yes every time those opportunities come will allow you to set some healthy boundaries that maybe you haven't been doing before. And I can speak for myself. Prior to me really pausing before I committed, not being the girl that said yes to everything, there was no real peace and joy and structure within my schedule, within my business, and it really did free up so much for me. And so I really hope today this was a word for you and encourages you that it's okay, and to take what you heard today and implement it into your business and into your life as well. And don't forget, if you haven't grabbed yet, that free guide I have for you for my 8 steps from burnout to balance, you can grab that in my show notes. It's just some of my favorite things that I have done that really has helped me in my life, and I hope it will bless you too. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Can't wait to see you next time, and be blessed, my friends. Have a good day. Hey friend, I hope this gave you a little more clarity and a whole lot of hope today. And if it did, would you share it with another Christian entrepreneur who's juggling all the things too? And if you haven't already, leave a quick review. It helps more women find this space. And remember, you don't need a full restart. Maybe you just need a simple reset. Small steps done consistently really do create change. And there is so much hope in that. So take a deep breath. Today is a new day, and you've got this. And I can't wait to see you next week.